When Julius Caesar was turned into a god by Octavian, it was a smart political move. Octavian even said he saw Caesar go up to heaven as a comet during a festival in 44 BCE. He was an eyewitness. This helped Octavian's claim to be the next ruler as the son of a god. Some people, like the general Publius Cornelius Dolabella, didn't like the idea of turning Caesar into a god before Octavian promoted it. In stories, this idea of someone ascending to heaven or being turned into a god didn't always solve all problems, but it did add a special touch, making the story more legendary or dreamlike. This kind of ending made a character seem more important, like they were a big part of history, folklore, or myth. This ending redeemed the character's story, especially if they had faced disgrace. In these stories, the hero's body must not decay, showing they were more than just immortal. This ending became a typical part of stories about famous figures, making them symbols of classic values. Here's a curated collection of fables translated from Greek and Latin. It's not a complete list, but it gives you a good idea of the stories that were often used to conclude biographies in ancient times. The fables are listed in alphabetical order. Along with the source, you'll find a short summary of each story and its main themes. These themes also acted as cues for ancient readers, letting them know that these were traditional tales. This section may be a bit detailed, but it will be absolutely necessary to see and hear how common these mythical characteristics apply to this list of 77 characters. If you want all the detailed sources for these characters, be sure to get a copy of Dr. Richard C. Miller's book, Resurrection and Reception, because he goes into all of these sources in chapter 2. All of these figures are ordered in alphabetical order thanks to Dr. Miller's careful attention to detail. After we cover them, we should emphasize important details for clarity. You can see in Dr. Miller's book on page 39 at the bottom, you start with the character Acca Laurentia. Forgive me if I butcher some of these names. Turning to page 40, you've got Aga, daughter of Alenus, Aeneas, son of Aphrodite, Alcmene, princess of Mycenae and Tiryns, Alcone, queen of Trachis. Forgive me. Alexander the Great on page 41. Althamenes, prince of Crete, Apharius, king of Argos. I am probably butchering some of these, forgive me. Anaxibia, queen of Thessaly, Anna Perina, sister of Dido, and Antinous. Okay, so notice these are all still in the A. There's quite a bit of A's here. Going down to page 43, Apollonius of Tyana, Ariadne, Aristeus, son of Apollo, Aristeus, Proconesus, forgive me. There's a lot here, and he goes into each of these. Asclepius, you keep scrolling down. We're just going to go faster here because I'll probably butcher more, embarrassing myself on reading some of these ancient Roman and Greek names. But if you keep going, you'll notice it's on page 66. So you get to the last one, and it's, I think, Kisithros. I think this is how you pronounce that. Before we get into the Roman imperial apotheosis, you got to get the book. There's so much detail here. I want you to look at those translation fables in chapter 2 if you do have the book. These are not an exhaustive list again. And Dr. Miller, he says, look, I hope people will go and find more. There's so many more. But the reason I'm showing you this so you can understand how common the themes found in the fables of deified figures were among Greeks and Romans. Again, I encourage you to go find more. There are plenty more out there. And again, take a moment to look at the graphs of each of these characters with check marks. But I do want you to look, before we look at those graphs, at this translation sub-theme chart, 1 through 15. So I created these graphs that are going to have the green check mark, and you'll notice that 1 through 15 appears at the very top. The figures are the far left, vertical going top to bottom in alphabetical order. 1 through 15 matches the translation sub-theme graph. So if you need to go fact check under each one, you can, and you can pause the video and you can screenshot and look at both and do that. Let me just show you some of this material because this is really important. As you look, you'll see there's a lot of number 3s, 4s. Those come up a lot. Number 11 comes up a lot in the first one. Keep going down to the next graph. You'll notice that one starts with Aspolis of Pythia, a lot of 3s. Well, is it a shock to you that 3 is missing body. Let's go to the third graph. Castor, son of Tyndaris. Again, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. And you can go back to the sub-themes. Go to the next graph, you'll see that one has Heracles as the last figure in it. Look at all the checks, green checks. Pause this video, look at it carefully. Go to the next one. Heraclides Ponticus. Again, 3 gets a lot of marks. You'll see the numbers at the end. Go to the next one. Oedipus, king of Thebes. Again, look at all those 3s. But all these other sub-themes that show up also help you understand the game, or seeing the translation fable, the fiction, the myth. This is what you look for. Go to the next one. Pythagoras is the first character, and it ends with Kisithros. So all of these graphs, you can go back and pause just to see the check marks, get a visualization of just 77 characters. Now that you can visualize these traits and the translations they encountered, here's a chart which shows you another breakdown. I'm taking all of the sub-themes of the 77 characters and I'm tallying them up. You remember our sub-theme 1 through 15. If you look on the right, there's a count. Among those 77 characters, you'll see the number of times the heinous or ignoble injustice rectified by translation. For example, someone is dying, or look at what happens to Heracles, right? We'll get into a story, but he's dying a very bad death, right? That right there, he gets translated. 15 out of the 77 have that. Transformation or metamorphosis too. There's 9 out of 77 that have that. Vanished, missing body, 58. Eponymous etiology, 12. Catasterism, turning into a celestial body, a figure, a star, something in the heavens, 9. Post-translation speech, 9. Ascension, 8. Post-mortem translation, 11. Translation associated with Zeus's thunderbolt, 9. Post-translation appearance, 11. Translation associated with a river, 15. And this is all out of 77, right? Translation associated with a mountain, 7. Odious or dubious alternate account, 12. Taken up by the winds or clouds, 3. And feigned translation, 5. It's clear that vanishing and missing body themes are extremely popular among the world in which Christianity was born, with 58 out of 77 of these figures having the vanished missing body motif. This is very important when we look at Jesus in the New Testament.